Hi, and welcome to this live reading from The Intruders by Brett McKay, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, The Stranger. On the last day that he would experience a life anything close to normal, Dex Sanders closed the car lot at a place he'd never return to. He wouldn't miss it. Not his job, anyway. Car sales was not his thing, and this job had been temporary at best. He was in between jobs, as he liked to say, not knowing where he'd end up, but he was in desperate need of a career change. Dex strode through the car lot filled with Lincoln and Mercury vehicles, checking each door handle. Night had fallen, and Dex, as well as his coworker John, were both eager to bust out of there, were speeding through their duties of securing the lot. A cool breeze blew through the summer air. There was a fitting end to a hot afternoon. Dex finished his burn day for the week. Burn day was what people in the business called a shift that started at the opening and finished at the closing. He was mentally exhausted after suffering the most frustrating day of his sales career thus far. Not one customer had come, making him ready to crawl out of his skin and run down the street screaming. He'd felt trapped, like being stuck on the tarmac for hours, unable to deplane an aircraft. Each door handle clicked as he checked it, and he neared the end of a long line of cars. Metal shone in the moonlight. As he approached the next car, he spotted a figure standing on the border of his lot. The sight caught him off guard, and his heart leapt into his throat. The hairs on his arms and back stood at attention. The man wore a suit, but his features weren't discernible. He stayed in the shadows, away from any light, and he stared directly at Dex. "Can I help you?" Dex asked. The man continued staring. "We're closed," Dex announced, but the man made no move to leave. His appearance and unwillingness to communicate were unnerving. "Sanders," John called from the other side of the lot. "You finished on your side?" Dex's eyes were locked on the dark man, and he didn't pay attention to John's question. Two flashes of silver sparkled where the man's eyes should be. Like stars, they flashed and disappeared in a split second. "Dex!" John called again. Dex snapped his head around. "Yeah, I got it," he waved to John. "All right, I'm out of here. See you tomorrow." John waved and walked away. Dex turned back to the dark man. "Can I help?" The man was gone. No one stood at the border. Either the man had disappeared or Dex was going crazy. Dex took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and pushed the air out, releasing the day's tension. He turned the knob and entered his home. "Hello," he called out. Thumping and running came from the floor above, and his wife called out, "Noah and Jacob, what did I say?" Dex walked to the kitchen counter and took his ball cap off. He'd emptied his pockets of his wallet, change, and a pen, placed them inside his hat, and set it down. He sifted through the mail and held up a small box with a perplexed expression. It was addressed to him, but had no return address. He held on to it, walked to the fridge, grabbed a water bottle, and took a drink. "Ah!" Reagan let out a tiny squawk as she turned the corner and saw Dex. She placed a hand to her chest. "You scared me. I didn't know you were home." "You didn't hear me come in? I called to you." "No, I can't hear a thing over your boys." She rolled her eyes. "Driving you crazy?" "Yes, all day. They've nitpicked at each other. Now I'm trying to get them into bed, and they're bouncing off the walls. You need to deal with them." Laughter erupted from upstairs. Dex took 2 steps toward the staircase and bellowed, "Boys, you'd better get to bed." "Oh, yeah, that'll do it," she mocked. "I'll go get them," he smiled. "How was your day? Any sales?" The drop in her voice was familiar. It was an anxious tone, struggling to muster up any hope. "Not good," Dex shook his head. "I didn't talk to anyone the entire day. Not one person came in. Well, that's not true. There was one guy at the end, but I must have scared him away." "What are we going to do? I hate this job," she said. Dex slumped. "I know. I do too. It's just temporary until I find a better one." "It's been 2 years now and 4 different jobs." He'd walked away from a well-paid career surveying CATV and fiber optics construction. It took him all over the country and away from his family for weeks at a time. Every 3 weeks he came home, only to have to pack up and leave again 4 days later. It took a toll on them all. Dex made a drastic choice to leave his career, feeling confident he'd find a better job locally. He didn't expect as much struggle as it had turned out. He softened his eyes, leaned over, and kissed her forehead. "It's going to be okay, I promise." Looking down, she nodded. He turned and marched up the stairs, purposely stomping to tease his boys. "Dad's coming! You two better be in bed by the time I get there." Noah and Jacob squealed. Panicked giggles sounded as they scampered for their bedroom. Dex clomped his feet down the hall and pounded the walls with his fists. I'm getting closer! The boys jumped into their beds. You'd better be lying down with your covers pulled up to your necks and your eyes closed. Their giggles escalated, and Dex stepped into the room. And lights had better be out. The two boys lifted their shocked faces. Their bedroom light was still on. Dex growled, then he flashed them a large grin. Relieved, they both cried with excitement. Daddy! Hi, guys. Are you two giving Mom trouble? No. Jacob was 6 years old, lying on the bottom bunk. He defended their actions. Noah kept tickling me and wouldn't let me get to bed. He wouldn't? Unbelievable, Dex said, gasping in mock horror. Nuh-uh. Noah, who was 8, cried from the top bunk. That's not true. You were splashing water on me in the bathroom. All right, guys, that's enough. You both know better. When Mom tells you to get ready for bed, you do it. Understand? They both nodded. Did you brush your teeth? Yes, see? Noah gave a wide, toothy grin, and Dex expected them. Well, you brushed a couple of them. No, I brushed them all. I did, Dad, Jacob said, and Dex looked at his teeth. Between the two of you, at least 5 teeth got brushed, Dex joked. I hope you used toothpaste this time. We did, Noah said. Then he frowned. Dad, why are you always working? I don't know. There are people in this world who say if you want a house, food, and clothes, then you have to give them money. And then they want you to work a job to get that money, Dex mocked. That's stupid, Jacob said. That's what I said, Dex said with a grin, exasperated roll of his eyes. Now it's late, boys. Time to get to sleep, okay? He gave them each a kiss, told them he loved them, turned the light out, and exited. Dex couldn't blame them for missing their daddy. He'd put his boys through a lot during the time he spent working out of state. Dex missed Jacob's first baseball hit in Little League, Noah's first successful basket in a game, and hundreds of other undiscovered moments. Dex walked to his and Reagan's bedroom, and she met him at the doorway. You got them down? Yes, he said. Thanks. She fell into his arms, hugging him and lightly pecking his lips. Anything else go on today? Dex asked. No. She shook her head. Just a million texts from my sister. She broke up with her boyfriend. He raised his eyebrows. Mr. Wonderful? Yeah, she chuckled. I'm glad she finally came to her senses. Maybe number 56 will be the lucky one, Dex said. Doubt it, Reagan sighed. She moved to the bathroom and began to wash her face as he plopped down on their bed and glanced at the package in his hand. He'd forgotten all about it. He tried to open it, but it was taped with several layers, making it impossible to get through with his fingers. Surrendering, he set it on the nightstand behind the lamp. Dog's barking echoed from outside, and it went on for several minutes until he asked Reagan, Is that the Chamberlain's dog? Yes, he's been doing it off and on all day. I went over there, but no one answered, and the dog's bowl was empty, so I fed him. With what? Their back door was open. I found his food and poured her some. I gave him water, too, Reagan said. Dex scrunched his face. That's weird. I haven't seen them for a couple of days. Did they go on vacation? If they did, they didn't tell anyone. Usually if they're gone, they'll ask us to watch Scruffy and gather their mail. And they left their house unlocked? Really strange. That's not like Wes. You also got something in the mail. Did you open it? Reagan asked. The box? No, I need a knife to open it, and I'm too lazy to go down and get one. Maybe it's that $1 million we're waiting for, she grumbled. I'm sure that's it. It's probably some promotional deal. Inside will be a fantastic offer saying we're approved for a giant loan or credit card, or maybe we can lease a new car for $199 a month. That's my favorite. I'll take the loan, she said, walking over to him and took a swig from his water bottle. Yeah, if we can pay it back, he said. She frowned, and he winked. Are you coming to bed? He asked her. Yes, I'm worn out. I'll probably read for a bit first, Reagan said. Which means you'll read for 5 minutes, Dex chuckled. Are you coming to bed? Not yet. I need to decompress. I'm going to go work on my bestseller. Get on that, would you? She grinned. They small talked for a few minutes, then he tucked her in, kissed her, and left the room. Dex entered the office next to the boys' room and began working on his latest novel. He was a writer at heart, yet despite the many attempts, he was still unpublished. It was his escape as much as it was his therapy. He found that when he wrote dialogue, characters, and plot, it helped him deal with his own issues. He sat at his desk and wrote for over an hour nonstop. He was on a roll until he finished a chapter. He was stumped on how to start the next one, and drowsiness overtook him. He planted his elbow on the desk, propped his jaw up with his hands, studying the text he'd just written. He soon closed his eyes and slumped over in sleep.